just like Thursday, the boat in trouble. This time, Nomura was able to wriggle off the hook with 1:30 to go, and now they hold a favored position.
We're not going to have it. Stay close to each other.
Game here is to get up to full speed. KR makes his move first, and he'll be going faster when the gun goes off.
Go down below the line. 20. 17. 14. 13. 4, 3, 2, 1, gun.
Another clean start and another good job by Dellenbaugh.
That's oh yeah, okay. Now I know I've got an echo going on because I've got the stream going on in, you know, my thing. Anyway, yeah, it's been a hot minute, folks. I'm not sure if anybody's here, but if you are, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. It's a shit time. We are in a shit time. I wish it were not the case. But we are in a shit time, and we're in a shit time that peaks are impulses to be quite angry. At least it does for me. I don't know about y'all, but damn it. It's like, are you serious? There's just so many times when you just go, are you serious? The impetus for my doing this video tonight is that the Trump regime has announced that they're going to go after my state, specifically my city, Portland, Maine, and the second largest city in the state, Lewiston, Maine, whose mayor is a Somali man. I live in a building where there are several Somali families who live here. I am fully anticipating a knock on my door from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement people just to check out whether I'm a white woman who arrived on the whose ancestors arrived on the Arabelle and the fucking Mayflower. And why? Because Donnie doesn't like Imano Omar. It's because somebody told him Somali bad, right? We got a problem here. We got a real problem. It's a breakdown of trust. I think it's a breakdown of trust. We don't have We don't have trust in one another anymore. We've always dealt with uh, folks who don't trust one another, but the genius of the genius of uh, the 18th century folk. I won't call them the founding fathers. It's the genius of the 18th century folk. The genius of the 18th century was thinking through how trust needs to be negotiated, how to get through distrust to a position of trust. You know, how do you create a polity that is functional, that can work for everyone? And you're, you know, it's not going to work for everyone person to person, but it can work for everyone generally. And right now, we have a tremendous breakdown in the ability to trust, even at the most granular level. And when those situations arise, when trust is is destroyed, even at that granular level, what we got here is a fucking more than a failure to communicate. It's a fucking civil war. So, anyway, the thumbnail of this thing was, again, excuse me, I'm going to cough. Give me a second. The thumbnail of this thing was the Boston Massacre, right? Well, that was a piece of propaganda. It was produced by Paul Revere like 2 weeks after the event, right? The people of Boston, the crowd, were literally chucking crap at British soldiers. Somebody fired a shot and people got killed. Crispus Attucks got killed. A bunch of people got killed. And, John Adams, our second president, and the man who, if you read history at all, was probably the guy most responsible for creating a circle of trust among the colonies that led to their declaring their independence from Great Britain. John Adams defended the British who shot his fellow citizens. Why? Because he was devoted to a notion of trust. Trust in justice. Trust in justice. He literally was trying to make the point that you don't need to have troops here because a jury of Bostonians acquitted your troops from assault. He was trying to make the point that justice is something independent of political views. He was trying to make that point, and he made that point, but it wasn't enough for the British. It wasn't enough for the British Empire. Do you see what I'm talking about here? What we're looking at today, it's Joanne Freeman, a wonderful historian, professor at Yale University. Thankfully, she has a year. She's going to be able to do a lot more online, which is really really cool. She's a historian. She's an historian of the American Revolution. Wonderful person. Wonderful stuff that she and Heather Cox Richardson, uh, her good friend, are putting out. It's like, listen to that stuff because these people are steeped in history and know whereof they speak. I'm a mere, my bachelor's degree from Brandeis is in history, and yeah, of course, I've got that credential, but I don't rely on that. I rely on my fucking family a little bit. It's I'm apologizing for my white Anglo-Saxon Protestant folk. We got a lot of shit wrong, but some stuff we got right, at least conceptually, right? At least in the it's we maybe succeeded in the in conception, uh, but failed in execution. I mean, I have an ancestor who signed treaties with an air that my ancestors violated, right? Maybe the Narragansett violated them too. But here we are again at the nexus of trust. If you make a treaty, the entire idea of a treaty is you negotiate a system of trust. We negotiated a treaty with the Danish in 1951, which was a system of trust. We negotiated a treaty with the Danish in I believe 1905, which was a system of trust. You give us you give us your Virgin Islands, which are today the U.S. Virgin Islands, and of course the British have the British Virgin Islands, which, by the way, if you're going to go anywhere in the Virgin Islands, go to Tortola. It's a lot better. It's like Charlotte Amalia is like America in the Caribbean. It's like, and except that you drive on the right side of the road with the wrong vehicle with the wrong steering wheel on the wrong side of it. It's just it's please don't do that. But we have a system of trust with the Danish, and we have had for a very long time. Right? And what we're up against right now is a guy who does not believe, a bunch of people, not just one guy. Let's be clear. It's not just Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a cuckoo bird, but he's got a lot of cuckoo birds, you know, fouling the nests around him. Okay, let's set that aside. Let's talk about let's talk about let's talk about the system. Our system of government. It relies on trust. What you read? Gonna cough again. Oh God. It relies on trust. It relies on trust. It's based on the notion that the executive will have a particular perspective, the legislative will have a particular perspective, and the judiciary will have a particular perspective. And we need to be able to trust all of these things acting in concert. And it's not working. And this is what I mean by what happens when trust just disappears. What happens when trust completely just fucking goes out the window? And what I'm seeing, I'm sorry, I'm an old bitch, right? I'm just an old crazy bitch. Maybe some people call me an old drunk lazy bitch, and guess what? I'm enjoying a Manhattan cocktail right now. So y'all, you can you can you cannot trust what I have to say. I encourage you to not trust what I have to say. But I I hope that what I do have to say is like, God damn it, you, if your goal is to create a better world, you've got to create a world based on trust. And to the extent that you destroy trust within your own world, you're not going to make any fucking progress at all. You gotta do more. You gotta be better than this, right? You gotta you gotta think about what is going to create mechanisms of trust and belief. What is gonna and you've got to figure out how to uh, put up blocks on when trust is violated. And you got to be honest about when trust is violated. It's just, we need to do better. I'm afraid for my neighbors. I'm literally, I'm scared to death that literally that, we're going to have, we've already seen a friend of mine. Look, the reason I've been offline is because I've been online on the fucking streets. Right? I think the virtual bullshit is absolute bullshit. I don't give a fuck about Jesus Christ. I don't give a fuck about whether Moses walked across the Red Sea anymore. I mean, I think it's all garbage anyway. But who cares? If my nephew preaches to a Christian congregation, do I have to put him outside of my fucking realm of trust? No, I fucking well don't. If my niece does the same thing, do I have to do I have to take them out of my family? No, I fucking well don't. I fucking well have to deal with them. I fucking well have to fucking love them. I have to keep them within my realm of trust. And the people that fucking want to exclude people from realms of trust are people that are ideologues who do not have the capability to make the fucking compromise, not compromises, to make the fucking arguments that we're all human beings. And when you lose that realm of trust, look, like I said, I may fuck this up. I said this way back in the chat. I'm going to fuck this up. But when you lose the capability of understanding where trust works, you just lose the plot, man. You're just losing the plot. The British lost trust in my ancestors to be able to be just towards their soldiers. John Adams said, a New England jury, a Boston jury, found you innocent. When that's not good enough, and you send more troops, and you quarter more of those troops in people's houses, and you tell them to go fuck themselves if they don't fucking knuckle under, you find yourself in a revolution. Right now, I'm an old New Englander about to die. But, I grew up in Lexington, right? It's like you can't get any more American Revolution than growing up in Lexington, Massachusetts. You just can't. It's just crazy. It sort of soaks in. Um, but it can't sit by casually when people are fucking killing your neighbors. You just can't. It's not it's not even possible. I'm a woman who lived through the Vietnam War and and the National Guard killing kids at Kent State. You can't sit by. The Democrat, you know, Abraham Ribicoff made an address in his nominating of George McGovern at the 1998 Democratic National Convention, saying if George McGovern was president of the United States, we wouldn't be seeing Gestapo tactics in the streets of Chicago in 1968. You want to talk about times when there has been a taking down of trust? I've lived through quite a few. Selma, Montgomery, Chicago, Kent State. There's been a betrayal of trust throughout our history. So, where do we go? Oh my goodness. Almost time to restart. Not now. Oh no. Thank you very much. I don't want my I don't thank you very much, Bill. Who's this hand pink waving person? Yahoo! I'm a comey pervert. Rainbow ash, something or other. I am the commie pervert who wants to get into your jeans. Fucking idiots. But I also want to say, when it comes to trust, okay, I think that it does get granular at some points. I mean, people don't trust me, which is fine. Um, but we do need to hold ourselves accountable when it comes to those of us who have a certain position. Like I certainly don't. It's like I have no position whatsoever in this fucking so-called community. But in any community, there has to be a standard. Not I'm not. It's like not necessarily a purity test, but we need to hold one another accountable. And it's perfectly okay to do that, and we need to realize that it's perfectly okay to do that. And we need to realize it's perfectly okay to say, hey, listen, what happened in this situation or that situation? Well, why are we can't shy away from from being real with one another, because otherwise, if you do shy away from that, then you get rid of the entire fucking uh, notion of building a community of trust. Ask people to say, hey, I fucked up, and then you move on. Don't expect this to happen, but I don't expect Donald Trump's ever going to say, I fucked up, let's move on. I'd be kind of impressed if he did. But here's the thing: it's like when people on particularly our side of the aisle, I guess, so people who think Bill Clinton's an okay guy, it's like he never did that, which is why I'll never forgive him. It's like, well, it depends on what the meaning of his is. No, you got this chick to suck your dick, and you lost everyone's trust right there. And Bill Clinton's a bad guy. I'm sorry, he's a bad guy. He threw that chick under the bus. Bad guy. Not good. Let's call out the bad guys when they do bad things. Okay? How hard is that? That builds trust. Whereas, these guys are betraying trust. That's why all the rats are scurrying around the fucking Epstein thing. It's like, oh yeah, I've said blah blah blah. It's like, all right, Jeff Bezos got himself stranded in fucking St. Bart's on account of the fact that Donald Trump invaded Venezuela and they shut down the fucking airport. It's a Jesus fucking Christ. What I'm saying is that you want to enforce, you want a better world, build a world based on negotiated trust. In every space, wherever you are. Ask for accountability. Ask for trust. Prove it. How do you get to that accountability peacefully when the powerful are taking your rights away? I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, shit. I I was tear gassed in 1969, marching against the Vietnam War. I've been fucking doing this shit my entire fucking life. I don't know how you do it. If I knew how you do it and knew how to do it successfully, it'd be a different world. But I will say this: if 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 your generation has any success, as my generation actually did in pushing to a world in which something like the Civil Rights Act of 1965 and the Voting Rights and the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 actually got passed. Don't take your foot off the gas. Don't think that you'd won. Don't think that, as my generation did, the ability of women to have credit in 1972, when I was 18 years old. To have credit, to be able to take out a bank loan or have a credit card, let alone Roe v. Wade. Don't let your foot off the gas. Don't let Ronald Reagan happen. I was having this conversation tonight with a young man in yes, a bar. I am fucking sorry. I hang out with real people every now and again, not on the fucking internet. I don't fucking spend my life doing this. I used to, and it was a big mistake. Don't take your foot off the gas. When you win those victories, keep fucking pushing. Because you know what? That 30% is always going to be there. That 30% who hates the niggers, who hates the fucking spics, who hates the fucking faggots, who hates the transies, who hates all those things. Those fuckers are always going to be there. And I don't apologize for using the fucking language because it's been directed at me. These bastards are bastards. I don't care if this video gets taken down because it's like I'm speaking. So, where do we go? I mean, I'd like to figure out, I think that at the end of the day, you've got all of us have to build communities of trust. And communities of trust have to do with having conversations. One of the things that came out of the pardon me, came out of the Boston Massacre was the establishment by Joseph Warren and the people in Massachusetts of committees of correspondence. It really didn't happen until after 1770, where where uh, uh, the people in Massachusetts were able to communicate to the other colonies what was going on. That the community of trust that had previously existed between the Massachusetts Bay Colony and Great Britain had completely broken down. And the warning went out that y'all need to really consider that it could break down for you too. And between 1770 and 1775 and in 1776, it's 6 years, right? 6 years. 1775 was Lexington, when they literally marched out of Boston and killed people. Think, I would say, the Boston Massacre. All right, fine. And John Adams was absolutely right. The Brits were not at fault. But there was still, think about it, there was still a community of trust there, but there's no community of trust when British regulars march out of Boston and kill 7 people on the Lexington Common, the place I grew up. Pardon me, I had to cough. When communities of trust dissolve, things get ugly. And colonial America had a community of trust with Great Britain. That there was so much goodwill. Until they started to kill us. And I think, maybe this could be a turning point where it's like, okay. I mean, there was a turning point in 1970 when the National Guard killed kids in Ohio. It's a turning point of a sort. The difference is that, to me, it's just looking, from afar. The difference is that there were still people that really gave a fuck about how trust was being destroyed at that point. And now there are people like Stephen Miller who are not at all concerned about who dies. And that's sad. It's like when we get down to a point where people are not at all concerned about who dies, we don't have a community of trust. And I don't see how it gets rebuilt. But I do want to insist about the notion that communities of trust can be rebuilt. This is what we're talking about. Is like when we're talking about truth and reconciliation commissions, when we're talking about that thing, it can happen. And it has happened in in our lifetime. You've got the exile from it, Elon Musk, who escaped the whole notion of it, just rejected the rebuilding of trust in South Africa. Come on. Look at where these people are coming from. Elon Musk does not deny this, is unrepentant about apartheid. That's uncool. Oh yeah, but he's really smart. No, he's a fucking dumbass who happened to be rich as Croesus on account of the fact that he and his daddy ripped off the fucking wealth of of an entire nation. So anyway, I guess I've gone on long enough. I don't know. I don't know if I've made any points or make any difference. It's like my fucking stupid little channel doesn't. I don't know. Oh, it's a pile of beans in this crazy world. But I gotta say, it's when trust is violated, speak up, and not just in tiny ways. It's like, look, I have a good friend, or I had a good friend. I'm clearly not necessarily not necessarily not a friend at this point in time. It's like, look, man, this shit happens at a fucking atheist conference, and you don't know enough. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. We've got to be able to. Let's be real. Elliot, come on, man. All y'all who are going at one another, just stop it. But Elliot, come on, man. Just stop it. I had to throw that in there just on account of the fact that's how I feel about the whole situation, and if you know, you know. It's just how are you going to have trust How are you going to have trust? I mean, how are you going to have trust? On that particular matter, I've heard side and side and side and side, and it's like, as far as I can tell, you know, how are you going to have trust? I trust the testimony of all the people I've heard from. Everyone, everyone in this situation. I trust their testimony. But there's one testimony I haven't heard from. Come on, man. And that's the only testimony I really fucking need to hear. Really, the only fucking testimony I need to hear. Okay? So, there's that. I had to say it. Had to say it. If I'm gonna be on a fucking stream, have to say it. But I have to put it in the, it's not as big as a context of the kind of betrayal of trust that we are facing right now on so many fronts. Is the United States going to betray the trust of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization? It's going to be betray. These people are betraying the trust of our of 250 years of history. That's a much bigger betrayal than anything else. I really honest to God, I want to highly recommend uh, 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 Heather Cox Richardson's channel and Joanne Freeman's channel. I'm a like early American historian by training and a seamstress by trade. Um, they're both they both have tremendous insight into revolutionary times, and I think we are in revolutionary times. I think that we can forge a revolution. You all can. I can. I mean, I'm not Ben Franklin, right? I wish I was, because then you'd send me to France and I could be the fucking ambassador there. I was like, I've got the white hair and all that shit. But we can do so much better, but we need to be able to trust one another in order to make it happen. We need to forge structures that let us do that. I'll close with I'll close with the final words of the Declaration of Independence. To this we pledge our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. What do you think that meant to those people? What on earth do you think that was? For people from New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. What do you think that fucking meant to them? It meant trust. It meant trust. It meant a fucking dedication to the notion that people had a right to govern themselves and not be told by a fucking king or a parliament that they had no fucking say over. How to proceed with their own domestic affairs. That requires trust. When we break it, it's fucked. Let's hope we're not fucked. And let's start finding a way to both trust and hold to account one another. For tonight, and probably for the foreseeable future, that's me. Bye. I don't even know how to get out of here anymore. How the fuck do I do this? End stream. Oh yeah, there's that. Oh, bye.